metabolic growth factor, testosterone levels, all of these things are optimized through weight training, as long as you're doing it in a controlled fashion. If we're doing weight training 2 times a day, 7 days a week, it's probably too much for anyone, regardless of recovery methods or their recovery ability. But generally speaking, controlled training of the right type is going to jack up those hormones, those metabolic, or not metabolic, but those anabolic hormones, and help you pack on the muscle mass while minimizing lipogenesis, new fat gain or new fat production. Lastly, the body part split weight training focuses on a variety of different types of exercises that are going to help you maximize the development of a balanced aesthetic physique, also known as I put here, having a nice body. So we're not just doing exercises that are focused on getting you strong. We're not just doing body weight exercises that are focused on burning calories, in the same way you would in an aerobics class. None of the foo-foo stuff that you see a lot of these aerobics instructors talking about, or some of the CrossFit people talk about this. Although CrossFit can be pretty hardcore here at that. Not knocking CrossFit here by any means. There's different degrees by which you can compete in that type of sport, and different degrees by which you can train. You can train different things depending on how hard you're working, what movements you're doing. But essentially here, the idea is to bring up certain muscle groups that are weak or underdeveloped, which again, if you look on the site later when I'm doing some of the consulting, I have that up and I've got some information on that. You can kind of contact me more directly if you're more interested in kind of working on physique goals, more specific physique goals, because if you really have a lagging body part, this routine might not bring everything up to speed or up to par, but I can work specifically with you on that. But essentially, it's trying to cover the bases. It's trying to paint in broad strokes, and it's doing what by most people's accounts, and people who are in the fitness industry, whether you're talking to a trainer, you're talking to another strength and conditioning specialist, whether you're talking to a bodybuilder, whether you're talking to a nutritionist, whether you're talking to an athlete or a martial arts person, anyone who knows their stuff would agree that this is pretty much the ideal routine. With that said, are there other ways to get there? Yes. Do other things work? Yes. There's a quote by, what is his name? I always forget his name, but he's a big guy in the industry. And he says, everything works. Some things work better than others. Nothing works forever. And what he's referring to is the fact that different routines and different dieting strategies all work to some extent. They just don't all work incredibly well, and they will never, regardless of what they are, how good they are, they will never work forever. So you have to kind of test assumptions, and you have to kind of figure out what's going to work for you. But for all the newbies out there, and for some of the more advanced people, I don't need to explain this to some of you, but essentially this is a good way to go, to be totally honest. I don't want to make this about, again, having Chris Hemsworth's chest or his shoulders, because to some extent, yes, if you want to get your chest bigger, then follow this routine. You want to get your shoulders bigger, follow this routine. But the shape of a muscle, the amount of fast twitch fibers that comprise a muscle group, the tendon length, where your tendons attach, the amount of mitochondria. I could just keep going on. There's a number of things that that control how your body ultimately ends up looking, given the same training routine among a group of people. So, will doing what he did give you a similar result? It might. It probably will. Following this routine will probably get you as close as you can, all other things being equal, to a physique like that. Now, if your chest, is going to be as big, some of that might be genetic. How big is your frame? How big? Where does the pectoral muscle attach? How long is your tendon that attaches to the shoulder there? How strong are your shoulders? How strong is your back? That will contribute to how much you can build up your chest, how much weight you can use on chest exercises. So everything is intimately connected, or interconnected, I should say. But I don't want to make this about, the forums that used to be around and or still are to this day, and all the tons of YouTube videos, and there might even be stuff on my site about having to get or how to get rather the Brad Pitt body, and what to do to get your arms just like Brad Pitt, get your shoulders just like Brad Pitt, to get your abs just like Brad Pitt, your chest just like Brad Pitt, and then people kind of not even grasping right off the bat, his height, his weight, things like that. Some people thought he was heavier than he was. Some people thought he was lighter. But ultimately, whether you want to look like that, whether people actually, girls specifically, women think that that's an attractive look, that's subjective. Most women like a lean body, but not to get off on a tangent here. The point is, that was a big thing, how to look like Brad Pitt from Fight Club. And the best thing you can do, as with the Hemsworth Workout, is follow the diet, follow the training plan, and stick to it. And control every variable that you can. You can't control your genetics. You can push your body to express the genes that you want to, and to maybe try to suppress certain genes that you don't want it to, but for the most part, your body aesthetics are somewhat out of your control. I'm just laying this out for you so that your expectations aren't totally off the mark. So not to depress anybody. I mean, what I always tell people is your physique can probably look 10 times better than it does now if you do what you need to do. And sometimes that's as simple as just doing something that you haven't been doing. I had a guy that emailed me earlier. He's doing high reps, high volume, 12 or 13 exercises, 1 or 2 sets per exercise, 15 plus repetitions for each exercise. It's not enough. He's not placing enough load on the muscles to produce any real muscle mass. And there's some studies lately that have come out that have said it's more about effort than intensity. So if you do high reps to failure, you're still going to gain muscle. And I think there is some truth to that, especially with bodybuilding and hypertrophy goals, again, making the muscle bigger. But there's also something to be said for using some heavy weight, as I mentioned in the article, getting those high threshold motor units activated, which basically means that you're stimulating the largest groups of muscle fibers, which again have the most potential for growth because they're big to begin with, and also they probably have more fast twitch fibers because those are the ones that are getting recruited for the high intensity, short burst, short duration activity. So they're probably already kind of predominantly fast twitch, and if you can kind of coax those into growth, you'll have a better chance of getting the overall muscle cross-sectional area to increase than if you try to coax your slow twitch fibers into growth. Because again, everybody has different combinations of each. But again, so the heavy lifting, that's good for the fast twitch muscle fibers. It's good for the high threshold motor units. It's good for the hormonal profile, kind of maximizing the hormones that are involved in muscle building. And bottom line is, if it's something that you haven't done, it's going to be a new stimuli for your body. And your body will respond by packing on new muscle tissue, getting leaner, probably also in the process. Some people get tremendously lean just by lifting heavy weights, keeping their diet the same, keeping everything else the same. All of a sudden they lift heavy weights, they're the same weight, Their muscles are bigger and they're leaner.